Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hopefully this works. This is part 15 of Bjorn's Path. I'm going to try doing it as a video. Hopefully I've got everything set up correctly, but we will see. So this is the 7th level, which is the second quest in the Khazad-dûm Deluxe expansion. Can expect to see lots of orcs. Let me see if I can go ahead and show the deck that I've built for this particular quest. Just pull that up really quickly. I think we will go ahead and use the same one that I used for Into the Pit. Seemed to work pretty well, so if we look here, we've got Dain Ironfoot as our leadership hero and kind of the linchpin to the whole dwarf strategy. Bifur for some resource smoothing, and then very important inclusion, which is Thalin, to do 1 point of damage to each of those obnoxious orcs that's going to come off the encounter deck. So this is going to be central to everything because there's just a swarm of orcs, and between Thalin and the Gondorian Spearman, the hope is that we can kill a lot of them off before their shadow effects are revealed, because a lot of the shadow effects just add even more orcs to the staging area, or there's other nasty effects there, and we want to just try and avoid as much of that as possible. So that's going to be the main strategy here, is having Thalin do the direct damage, and then hopefully the Gondorian Spearman is going to finish off a lot of these 2 hit point orcs. So just to kind of go back over the heroes, Dain Ironfoot, anyone familiar with dwarf strategy should be familiar with this hero. He's the obvious go-to for any dwarf deck. And since he came in the Return to Mirkwood pack, we have access to him in the Khazad-dûm scenarios. So, and then Bifur is going to be important because we've got some kind of more expensive lore stuff, and we will be able to pay for that by moving resources there from probably from Thalin, but we might even move some resources from Dain as well. Because of the limited card pool, this deck is not 100% thematic. There are some non-dwarf cards in here just to kind of flesh everything out. But let's go through the allies now. What we've got, Record Keeper is an obvious choice. He's going to be questing for 2 thanks to Dain. We also can use him to ready our heroes if need be. The Hammersmith is nice to be able to get attachments back. Don't recall offhand if there's a lot of attachment hate in this scenario, but regardless, he's a good foot soldier. So we included 3 of him. We've got veteran Axehand, which is another good foot soldier, especially because he swings for 3 with Dain's help. Daughter of the Nimrodel, there is some direct damage, although I want to say in this scenario I think it's particularly aimed at allies. But since Dain's going to be our primary defender, it'll be good to have her in the deck so we can heal him if he takes some damage, or if, God forbid, we have to take undefended attacks. This scenario particularly punishes undefended attacks, so the goal here is not going to be to take any. A lot of the orcs have passive effects that give them attack bonuses when they're undefended, so we're going to want to avoid that. But she's an important inclusion nonetheless to help keep our heroes alive. The Spearman, as I mentioned earlier, really important with Thalin to try and just weed through some of these, the mob of orcs without letting their shadow effects go off. Miner of the Iron Hills, there is at least 1 condition attachment in this scenario that's going to mess with us, so this guy's good to be able to help get rid of that, as well as having good stats with Dain out. Gandalf's a pretty obvious inclusion here to help us deal with the larger enemies that we might run into and help us make quest pushes. Also, he can keep our threat lower since there's some doomed in this scenario. Orc Slayer is another awesome card for this quest because there's just going to be so many orcs out that his ability actually can be really invaluable. And then once he's in play, his stats are quite good for combat. We might, in a pinch, and even end up choosing to sneak attack him in rather than Gandalf, just because his ability is so nice, particularly when you can use it multiple times. In any case, the last card we have for allies is Gleowine, and that's just going to help us with some card draw. We're going to end up having resource acceleration thanks to Steward of Gondor, and then also smoothing with Bifur, so we're going to want to keep cards in our hands so we can be playing things every turn, and he's going to help out. As you might have noticed already from the deck list, this list is based on having 2 core sets. As I've continued Beorn's path, I've decided to just go ahead and build a deck around the assumption that there's 2 cores. It's not too difficult to make substitutions if in the case that you only have 1 core set, and when I go ahead and post this video, I'll make notes on what my recommended substitutions are. For anyone who's followed the path this long, I think it's reasonable to assume that players, as they get more into this game, or if they're going to play it multiplayer, that they would own 2 cores. But for those that don't, or don't want to build a deck using 2 cores, it'll be, like I said, it'll be pretty easy to make those substitutions, and I'll make a note of that when I post the video. Anyway, moving on. Dunedain Warning is probably going to go on Dain since he's our primary defender. The nice thing is we actually can move it around if need be. Bifur is another good choice as a defender. Thalin's going to be pretty much exclusively going to the quest, and we probably won't be writing him with the Record Keeper. But in any case, it's good to have some defense boost to keep our heroes alive. Steward is an obvious choice to give us the resources to pump out this army of dwarves that we're going to use to, withstand the onslaught of the tremendous number of orcs we're going to be facing. Narvi's belt can either go on Bifur because of the smoothing, or if we get Steward on Dain early, it can go there. Either way, it's going to help us make sure that we can get the maximum number of allies and cards played every round. Dwarven Axe, this is not a super important card because we're not really relying on one character necessarily to do the attacking. It's more kind of attack in numbers, but the nice thing is it can be attached to any dwarf character. So once, like say an Orc Slayer is in play or a veteran Axehand, we can attach it to them, and they can hold them back from the quest and use them as kind of our primary attacker. So it's nice to not have to attach it to a hero, since our heroes in a lot of cases are going to be questing or defending. Protector is another good choice for this deck because we want to not only be able to keep Dain alive if he's defending against a larger enemy, which there are a few, or also we're going to want to be able to control exactly when we push through on the quest phase. So this is a really good versatile card, and allows us to get rid of some duplicates. If we draw like a duplicate of Narvi's Belt or Steward, it becomes a good target for discarding to Protector. Lastly, we've got our events. Parting Gifts is just thrown in to help out a little bit with the smoothing. Might kind of be overkill, but it's nice, especially in the early game, to be able to get guys out quickly to help keep us alive. It's the first 2 to 3 rounds that are really critical in this game, and that's where this card can make the most sense to just get that 1 extra ally out. Sneak Attack is an obvious combo with Gandalf. It's going to help with threat control or direct damage for like a bigger enemy, and also as I mentioned earlier, it can work really well with the Orc Slayer. If we have a lot of orcs in play, we can essentially play them twice and kind of clear the board. Feint is going to help us against those larger enemies or help us avoid undefended attacks. And then Quick Strike serves a similar role, particularly if we get one of our Dwarrowdelf axes on a character so that they're swinging for, effectively 4 or maybe even 5 damage, depending on whether or not Dain's ready. That Quick Strike can essentially kill an enemy before it attacks, so it's going to serve a similar role to Feint. Anyway, that's the deck we've got here for 7th level, so let's go ahead and dive in and see how we do. So I'm going to go ahead and load 7th level itself. Let's see if we can find it here. There it is. Yeah, and we're going to end up having a Book of Mazarbul attached to, in our case, I think we're going to use Dain because it'll allow him to quest without exhausting, which is kind of cheating in a way because it lets him give himself a willpower boost, which is kind of funny, but makes sense. And then he can serve as our defender, and the other two heroes early on will be questing. And as we get that army of dwarves out, we can hold the heroes back or kind of, you know, make the decisions based on what's in the staging area. But this is a nice thing to have to start. It's going to help us kind of offset some of the overwhelming numbers we're going to be facing in this quest. Let's go ahead and load our player deck now. Into the pit. Okay, yeah, I decided not to make any changes to the deck since it worked pretty well against the into the pit scenario. I think it should fare well against 7th level as well. So let's go ahead and read some flavor on our quest before we get going here. And actually, I think I technically should have done. No, actually, no, I'm doing this in the right order. Sorry, I need to decide my mulligan before I do the setup. I am definitely going to keep this hand. You can see we've got one of the critical cards we're looking for here, Steward. We've also got Feint, which is going to help us survive the early game. And then, probably most importantly, we've got Gondorian Spearman, which is going to combo with Thalin to really take a bite out of a lot of these low hit point orcs. So this is a very good opening hand. We've also got Daughter to help us if Dain ends up doing some defending and taking some damage. Yeah, so it's a very, very well-rounded opening hand, so we will keep that. Let's continue with the setup on the scenario. You are investigating the 7th level of Moria, searching for the Chamber of Records and any sign of Balin's colony. In the heavy twilight of a hall, a bulky tome is discovered in the grip of a dwarf skeleton. You carefully take possession of the book. Perhaps it will give you some answers. So this is kind of the alternate history scenario where we've gone into Moria and we've discovered the remnants of Balin's colony. He left the Lonely Mountain and took a company of dwarves, and the goal was to retake Moria. And as we learn in the Lord of the Rings, spoiler alert, that didn't work out so well for them. They ended up getting overrun by orcs, and they all perished. But in this alternate universe, we're actually going as our party of heroes is going to similarly try to discover what happened to Balin and his company. So the setup: search the encounter deck for Book of Mazarbul and have the first player attach it to a hero of his choice. Shuffle the encounter deck. So we'll go ahead and attach this to Dain Ironfoot. Since he will not exhaust a quest, he's going to be questing for 2, giving himself his bonus. He will not be able to attack, which is fine because Dain is not our attacker. We either want to hold him back and not defend at all, or if he's doing anything in combat, he's going to be defending. So yeah, the downside of this really is mitigated because he does not serve the role of an attacker in this deck at all. So that's fine. We will go ahead and shuffle the encounter deck, and then I want to say the other side of the card is going to have us revealing 1 card per player, so that'll just be 1 card to start. My hope actually in this case is going to be for a location, just because I don't want to deal with any more enemies than I have to, particularly low engagement ones could be a real danger. Our starting threat is 27 with this deck, which is not too bad, but we do want a couple rounds to get set up before we're going to be ready for the onslaught. We're not going to be able to get the Spearman out on the first turn, so we want to hopefully have a round or 2 to get set up before the orcs all rush at us. So anyway, the encounter deck is shuffled. Let's go ahead and reveal. Let's flip the quest card and confirm my suspicion. Yep. When revealed, reveal 1 encounter card per player and add it to the staging area, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Let's see what we have here. Hidden threat. Each player must raise his threat by 1 for each enemy in the staging area, then the last player discards an attachment he controls. That is just about the best setup card you could get, because there are no enemies in the staging area, and I don't control any attachments. So, and unlike the later treacheries that would surge if they whiff, this one does not surge. So it does absolutely nothing. We send that to the discard pile, and we're grateful for a little bit of good luck. let's go ahead and do our first turn now that we've done setup. So I'm going to control in, give everybody a resource, and I draw another card. It's a second feint, which is great to see. Looks like we should be able to survive the early game pretty well here. With the cost of everything in my hand, there's really not a whole lot to do first turn. Even if I moved a resource over to Bifur, I would not be able to play anything. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and save up my resources, and we're going to move on to the rest of the turn. So there's 15 quest points here. There's nothing fancy about this quest. We're just trying to get through it. I don't necessarily want to rush through it right away. I want to kind of get set up a little bit, but we do want to make some progress and certainly not raise our threat. So I'm going to go ahead and commit Thalin and Bifur because of Dain's bonus. I'm sorry, and Dain since he's not exhausting. So Thalin's going to be a 2. Bifur's going to be a 3. That's 5. And then Dain's going to be 2 more for 7. So we've got 7 willpower going against an empty staging area. And let's go ahead and see what we get. Encounter card is, oh boy, got a cave troll. 33 engagement means he's not coming down this turn, but he does have 4 threat, which is kind of obnoxious, and he's got a nasty trample ability. If you chump block him, he basically does the damage to another character, the excess damage, so we're really not going to want to chump block him. It's good that we have couple copies of Feint in our hand, because when he does eventually come down, that's he's probably the enemy we're going to want to use that on. In any case, he takes 1 damage from Thalin, because Thalin was committed to the quest. And he is large and scary, but we don't have to deal with him immediately, so not all things considered, not too bad of a card to see early on. His 4th threat against our 7 willpower means we make 3 progress on the quest, so let's go ahead and put that down. Yep, that will do it for the round. There's not really anything else we want to do. As I mentioned earlier, we could move resources to Bifur, but I don't really want to do that at this point because I've got stuff that both he and Thalin, rather, and Dain both have things they want to buy next turn. So we're just not gonna move anything right now, and we're gonna call that the end of the round. So control in. We'll move on to the next round. We're now at 28 threat. Our new card for the round is Gandalf, which is a pretty good draw. This deck is really working out pretty well for us here. Using 2 core sets and obviously giving us more copies of the key cards is going to make this deck a lot more consistent. So we're looking in good shape to be able to handle this, and Gandalf's an excellent choice to help us deal with this cave troll. So in any case, let's go ahead and spend. Right off the bat, we're going to do 2 from Dain to get a Steward of Gondor, and we're going to attach it to him and exhaust it immediately. Give him those 2 resources right back. With resource acceleration out early, we shouldn't have too much of a problem paying for whatever it is we're going to draw throughout this game. Gandalf obviously is expensive without a sneak attack, but we don't need him immediately, so we can just kind of pile up some resources on our guys and see how this goes. I am going to spend 2 from Thalin to get out our all-important Gondorian Spearman. That combo there is going to end up really helping us quite a bit to deal with the hordes that are coming. Let's see here. We don't have any expensive leadership cards in our hand. There is ally hate in this, and honestly, if Spearman is the only ally we have in play, he would die to the ally hate that I'm thinking of, because it's basically do X damage to an ally you control, where X is the number of allies you control. And unfortunately, our Spearman only has 1 hit point, so I am actually going to move 1 resource from Dain to Bifur to give us 3 there, and spend all 3 of them for a daughter. The idea here, even though we don't have any damage on heroes, I actually want her out so that if there's ally hate, I can choose to sacrifice her to it rather than the Spearman, since the Spearman is so critical to our strategy. Once we get a little bit later into the game, I'll have other allies out, and it won't be as risky, but right now I really want to make sure that I keep the Spearman in play. So that's the reasoning behind that decision, and hopefully we don't get the ally hate early, and I don't have to lose the daughter, but I would rather lose her than the Spearman. So anyway, we've got 4 threat in the staging area. We've made 3 progress so far on the stage. We want to keep trekking along through the 7th level. I'm sorry, I forgot to read the flavor text here on the other side of this quest cards. Let's go ahead and do that. The Dwarven runes of the book appear to hold a detailed record of the fledgling colony, but there is some Elvish script at the end, which seems out of place. I want to say that's Ori who writes in Elvish, but I could be wrong about that. In any case, we have the Book of Mazarbul, and it is going to explain to us the grisly fate of Balin and his colony. In the meantime, we're just trying to get through the mazes of Khazad-dûm, and we have ourselves a cave troll in the near vicinity that we are, for the moment, going to avoid. So he's 33 engagement, we're at 28. We're still safe so far, even if we get a little bit of doomed, but hopefully without any tactics resources we can't do a fate this round, so hopefully we can continue to avoid him. I am going to go ahead and send, in this case we're sending 8, because we're going to go ahead and send the daughter as well, since we don't need her for healing right now. So 1 for her, 2 for Thalin makes 3, 3 for Bifur makes 6, 2 more for Dain makes 8. So we're sending 8 against 4 with a card coming. And that card is Plundered Armory. So 3 threat, 2 quest points. While it's in the staging area, enemies get +1 attack. We definitely want to travel to that. And it looks like our timing is good here, because we, if we do this right, can get a free Dwarrowdelf axe out of the deal. So 4 plus 3 is 7, so we win by 1. So just by the skin of our teeth, we make 1 progress. There's no travel cost on this Plundered Armory, so we certainly want to travel there, because the passive on that is going to make all the enemies more dangerous while it's in the staging. So we will travel there. We are not going to optionally engage the cave troll. We will leave him where he is for the time being, and that's going to be the end of another uneventful round. This is where having a low starting threat is good, because it lets us avoid these nastier enemies. Yeah, it's interesting, because normally when I play this quest, you just end up getting swarmed really early with a lot of orcs, but so far this is playing out kind of slow, which is to our advantage, because we can get set up. So for the next round, we're at 29 threat, so still a little ways away from the cave troll engaging. I'm going to use the Steward again, and this is where we start really piling up resources on Dain. We've got Protector. It's good to be able to do quest control, and he is right now he's questing and defending, so he seems like a natural choice for that. Let me move that around so we can see it a little better. So spend 1 from Bifur and attach Protector of Lorien to Dain. Not the most thematic card in this situation, but it's like, as I mentioned earlier, it's hard to play pure theme when you're limiting yourself to a progression style card pool, so we're going to have to make some allowances here, and this is certainly one of them. This is a very versatile card from the core set, though, so it's good to see it here. It's going to help us to keep Dain alive if he ends up having to take an attack from a cave troll. Let's see here. So we don't necessarily have a good target for our Dwarrowdelf axe, but it looks like there's a good chance we are going to potentially clear this Plundered Armory. But if we have a choice of clearing it or not clearing it, I might actually choose not to, since we're going to have a veteran Axehand out next turn. So we'll see. We're going to go ahead and continue questing the way we have been, just to keep making some progress. We would like to get a ways into the quest before our threat gets higher and all the enemies are coming down. So at this point, it looks like when we do eventually play Gandalf, we might end up using him to lower our threat, just to buy ourselves a little bit more time to set up. But in any case, we're going to go ahead and send 8 again, just like we did last turn. We don't need the daughter for healing when we haven't taken any damage yet, and so far the swarm of orcs that we were expecting has yet to show up. So 8 against 4 in the staging with a 2 quest point location as active. The card we get is Dead on Arrival, and this guy is particularly obnoxious in this scenario. Goblin Archer, before I kill him with the Thalin direct damage, I will go ahead and read off what he does. 2 threat, 48 engagement, and cannot be optionally engaged. Characters with range are eligible to attack Goblin Archer while it is in the staging area. One of the downsides to a dwarf deck is I do not have any characters with ranged, so really the only way I could get rid of this guy outside of Thalin's ability would be direct damage with Gandalf, which would be a real waste of his versatility. Fortunately, Thalin is committed to the quest, so this guy's going to take 1 damage and die immediately, but had he stuck around, he has a particularly nasty effect, which is that any enemy revealed after he's in play causes me to have to do direct damage to a character I control, so over time he can really be a problem, particularly if a deck doesn't have healing. Fortunately, Thalin is the answer to this guy, and this guy dies immediately. So it does indeed look as though we are going to pass the active location, because our 8 against 4 is going to be 4 progress, so 2 on the active, and then 2 more on the quest. I don't have any armor in hand. I do have a weapon. I'm actually going to choose not to use this response because I don't really want the axe on any of my heroes at this point. Dain, obviously, while he has the book, cannot attack, so it wouldn't make sense there. My other 2 are really dedicated to questing right now. And honestly, even in the event that I could ready them later with like an Erebor record keeper or something, they're not really my designated attackers. Bifur certainly makes more sense to be questing for 3 than attacking for, 2 or 3 with the axe. So that's really going to be his dedicated role. Thalin obviously needs to go to the quest every turn, and the Goblin Archer is evidence for why that's the case. So I'm actually going to hold off, not get a free weapon out of it. But we will pass the location, and we will get 2 more on the quest. And again, we are not engaging the troll. We're going to save this axe for our veteran Axehand for a little bit later on. And we're going to call that a round. Although, since I have so much on Dain, I am going to go ahead and move 1 over right now before the end of the round to Bifur, just to kind of spread out my resources a little bit. And we will go to the next round. And now we're at 30 threat. We drew a quick strike, which is another nice card to have. With Thalin and potentially the Spearman softening guys up, the quick strike is going to be a pretty useful card to have. So in any case, 30 threat. We're getting closer to cave troll time, but we should be pretty well ready for him by the time he comes. We're going to spend 2 for a veteran Axehand. Great foot soldier with 2 hit points. He's swinging for 3 as long as Dain is ready, and we can even send him to the quest if we really need to. So 6 out of the 15 progress on the quest, 4 threats hanging out in the staging area. Still no lore cards, so Bifur's resources are kind of sitting idle right now, but we will go ahead and add 2 more to Dain's pool, thanks to Steward. And at this point, we could play Gandalf if we wanted to. Let's do some quick math on this. I kind of want to use him for the threat reduction just to buy ourselves some time. And I know that there's some doomed coming in this quest, so it's useful to have that insurance. If we did use direct damage, though, we could do 4 damage to the troll that already has 1 on him, so that'd be 5 out of his 7. That doesn't put us within range to kill him with the Gondorian Spearman, however. And we don't have anybody big enough that could actually quick strike and kill the cave troll. I have an idea here, actually, though, because of the way the Dwarrowdelf axe is worded, it does 1 point of direct damage to the defender. So even if I'm attacking with someone that does not have the strength to get through the 4 defense of the cave troll, I can actually put damage on him. So potentially we could time this in such a way that we could kill him without really having to deal with him. It's kind of a weird way to do it, actually, because we could quick strike before we declare a defender, put the damage from the Dwarrowdelf axe on him, which puts him at 2. along with the 4 from Gandalf, would have him 1 away, and then the Gondorian Spearman would finish him off. In any case, we don't have the Dwarrowdelf axe out yet. It's just something to think ahead and see if that's maybe something we want to do. If we end up getting a doomed card this turn that puts us close to the troll coming down, that might change our decisions. But in the meantime, I think we're just going to go ahead and continue on with the quest. So let's send our 8. We're going against 4. That troll has just been sitting there anxiously waiting to stomp us, but fortunately our threat has protected us from him. So the card that we get here is... Aha! Super annoying. This is the guy that, had the Goblin Archer been out, this is a really, really dangerous card, because we could find ourselves with direct damage all over the place. So it's really good to have Thalin in this quest to get rid of that Archer. In any case, he takes 1 direct damage. He is going to surge, and he has a when revealed that reveals an additional card. So we essentially get 2 more cards from this guy. So let's go ahead and do those effects. He surges into a Goblin Swordsman, which takes a damage, and his when revealed also reveals a card, which is a Goblin Spearman, which also takes a damage. And now we have this swarm that I've been talking about this whole time, and this is precisely why we have been building up in preparation for a major conflict. So 4, 6, 7, 9. We actually lost by 1. Wow. Okay. So we're going to go up to 31. And this is why having that little bit of cushion is good. 8, 4, 6, 7, 9. Yeah, so we lost by 1, so I raised my threat to 31. We have... The Hornblower is 2 threat, and as much as I would love to optionally engage him, since he's only 1 attack, to pull that threat out of the staging area, we have 2 goblins that are coming down this turn, so that's not going to happen. Fortunately, one of these guys is going to die immediately, so 20 and a 15, they're both coming down. We're not going to optionally engage, as I mentioned, because 2 enemies is enough to deal with right now. So the 20 is going to get a shadow card first. The 15 gets the next shadow card. This 3 attack, the higher attack, is the one that I'm going to choose to block with the Gondorian Spearman, so I don't have to deal with it. So in either case, if I take them undefended, they're going to get a +2. That's not going to happen because we do not want to be... we certainly don't want to be taking that kind of damage onto a hero. So the Gondorian Spearman is declared as a defender against the Goblin Swordsman. He takes 1 direct damage from the Spearman and is dead immediately, so we do not have to resolve that shadow card. Just to see what it would have been, yeah, he would have gotten a bonus, so, and he would have been a Goblin if I'm not mistaken, so that would have been a +3, so that's a 6 strength attack, which even would have done some damage to Dain Ironfoot, or forced us to discard cards, so it's good to have him dead. Now for the Spearman, who's only a 2 attack, we could risk blocking with the Veteran Axehand, although a shadow effect would kill him. We have Protector on Dain, who's already a 3 defense, so it's a lot safer to go ahead and defend there, so that's what I'm going to do. So 2 strength attack against a 3 strength defender with Protector of Lorien. See what the shadow effect is, and here we go. So this is where the swarm really comes from in this scenario, is there's a ton of shadow effects that add these obnoxious guys to the staging area. And since we are not in the quest phase, Thalin is no longer committed to the quest, which means this guy doesn't get direct damage, so we have an unharmed goblin that decided to tag along, a swordsman that decided to tag along with his spearman buddy. So we're going to have more stuff to deal with next turn. In any case, no attack bonus, so Dain does not take any damage. Unfortunately, with Dain exhausted and this guy at 2 defense, our Veteran Axehand is not going to be able to do any damage to him. With the 1 damage on the Spearman, the upside is, though, that our Gondorian Spearman is going to be able to kill him next turn, so we just have to deal with this Swordsman as well. This is where things can start to get really out of hand, so hopefully we draw an ally here on our next turn, and we can start to, maybe a lore ally, and we can start to kind of offset the onslaught. So 31 threat, we're going to 32. The next round gives us a Narvi's Belt, which is going to be nice. If we could get some card draw going here, that would be good. This is where it's really hard to decide what to do with Gandalf, just because there's so many choices with him, and they all seem good right now. Threat reduction is good. Card draw would be great with the amount of resources we have, and direct damage would be nice as a way of getting rid of this obnoxious cave troll. But in any case, we have. This is where it gets risky, because we're sitting at 32. I know for a fact there are Doom cards in this set. We don't particularly want to deal with a cave troll right now. We do have a feint in hand, though, so that can be kind of our insurance policy against him. The other advantage of playing Gandalf is it gives us another body, and we do have at least one enemy coming down this turn. Potentially two, with one of them being a cave troll. So I think I am going to go ahead and... Oh wait, let's see, we use our Steward again, so we're really piling up the resources here. Might as well... I think I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to put Narvi's belt on Bifur, because we can always move resources to him. I don't know that it's going to matter. I think we've got enough of a resource head start that even if we get some card draw, we're going to be overflowing with resources. But in any case, this will let us pay for more leadership stuff than had we put Narvi's belt on Dain Ironfoot, who already has plenty of resources. So it's going to mean that we can potentially pay for multiple feints this round, or a quick strike and feints if we need it, so that's a good thing. Let's go ahead and, now that we've got the resource versatility, I am going to put the Dwarrowdelf axe on our veteran Axehand friend. Questing is going to be a little bit rough this round with all this threat in the staging area, but the idea is we're going to hold some guys back and be ready to have a little bit of a battle here. I am going to go ahead and spend 5 from Dain to put Gandalf into play, and as much as threat reduction seems nice, I actually am going to make it so that we can kill a cave troll before he really does any damage. So let's do 4 damage from Gandalf to the cave troll, so that puts him at 5 damage out of 7. And then, thanks to the tricksiness of the Dwarrowdelf axe and then our Gondorian Spearman friend, we can potentially just kill him outright. The nice thing about doing it this way is that we can always do that combo later, and if we don't get doomed this round, we don't actually have to finish the cave troll off yet. We can do it next round, and then we can use Gandalf to help out with some combat. So in any case, we're going to quest again for the same 8. I don't want to send Gandalf because he's going to be super useful in combat to help us kind of weed out some of these enemies. We may end up raising our threat. Let's see, 6. We're going against 7. There's a really good chance we will end up raising our threat. I wonder about this. I think we might have to... Let's do this a little bit differently. I think we are going to have to quest with Gandalf just to avoid, otherwise we're definitely raising our threat and the cave troll's definitely coming down. So in any case, we will change our questing strategy up just a little bit. We also have the option to discard cards to protect her, but with the cards I have in my hand right now, I really don't want to do that. So ideally I'll make enough progress to at least break even. I'm not too worried about actually clearing this quest right now. I just kind of want to survive this early game. So let's see, 2, 5, 7, 11 is going to be our new total. Yeah, that seems a lot more doable because we're looking at 7 in the staging. So even with a large or high threat card getting added, we should still at least break even. But let's see what happens. Oh boy, all sorts of fun. And he is coming down, and he is going to need to get feinted because he is large right now. So, yeah, this is where the onslaught that I was talking about is really showing up, and then some. So We didn't raise our threat, which is nice. We do not have to deal with the cave troll this turn. Do wish I had a way to ready Gandalf, because it's kind of a waste to use him on the quest when there's some combat to be had. But 4, 6, 7, 9, and we sent 11, so we won by 2. There's no locations to travel to, just a ton of enemies, so the swordsman's going to drop. Let's see, highest first. Yeah, the chieftain's going to drop. The swordsman's going to drop. We're not going to optional for obvious reasons. Let's deal out our shadow cards in the correct order here. So the chieftain gets 1, the swordsman gets 1, the spearman gets 1. Just to go over the chieftain's ability again, he is a goblin orc, particularly fearsome one. When revealed, he gets +3 attack until the end of the round, so he is actually an 8 attack right now. Fortunately, we are not going to be dealing with him this round because that's far too much attack for us to want to step in front of. So let's go ahead and do some effects before we resolve combat. Now that we've dealt shadow cards, there's a player action window. I'm going to exhaust Narvi's belt to give Mr. Bifur the tactics icon for the remainder of the phase. So first thing I'm going to do with the tactics resource is feint the chieftain of the pit, because I don't really want to deal with him right now. We know the spearman's going to die immediately when we block with the our spearman. Our spearman cancels their spearman, so not worried about him. I don't really want to waste a feint on a goblin swordsman, so I'm just going to go ahead and let Dain defend that, and we have healing online, so I'm not really too worried about what could happen there. Yeah, so we've feinted the chieftain. We will first block the spearman with our spearman, and it dies. Direct damage is a good thing in this game. And look, it would have added another spearman to the staging area. Fortunately, that does not happen. Okay, for our next defense, we will have Dain block the goblin swordsman. So our 3 defense, his 3 attack. See what happens. And we add a goblin spearman to the staging area. This is going to be a pretty consistent theme in this quest. You'll see there's lots of stuff getting added to the staging area. So fortunately he didn't get an attack boost, so Dain does not take any damage. Again, to keep more ready characters, I could have tried to do something clever with an undefended attack and then heal, but you don't really want to do that when he's going to be swinging for 5. That would kill a hero. So we're just keeping with the conservative strategy and hoping to mow through these guys over time. So all the attacks are dealt with. Discard the feint, discard this guy's shadow. Well, we can do that at the end of the round. In any case, the chieftain is not attacking. He's rather large. We're going to need to deal with him. He's going to be a 5 next turn, still swinging on us. So the thing is, we know the spearman's coming down. Decisions. Do we put 1 damage on the chieftain thanks to the Dwarrowdelf axe? Or do we put the swordsman in range to being killed by our spearman? It would have been nice to have a sneak attack for our Gandalf because we really need him again next turn with this chieftain showing up. But I think we're going to have to just weather another attack from the chieftain or potentially fate him. But I don't think putting 1 damage on him right now makes a whole lot of sense. So let's go ahead and have the veteran Axehand with his Dwarrowdelf axe swing on the swordsman, and actually we're going to kill him. Yeah, that definitely is the better decision here because he is 3 attack even without Dain's bonus because of the +1 from the sword. So 3 attack, regardless of the direct damage from the axe, is going to just outright kill the swordsman. So that's 1 less attack we have to deal with, which is nice. Anyway, let's go ahead and get rid of our shadow cards, and that's going to be the round. Oh wow, if the defending character is an ally, discard it from play. It's great to see Undisturbed Bones go as a shadow card, because it's bad, as a feinted shadow card no less. It's a bad shadow effect, it's probably even worse when revealed. This is the one that I was mentioning I was worried about early on is potentially killing our Gondorian Spearman. So as you can see now, the Spearman has really been an MVP, so we really do not want to lose him. The good thing is if we only ever block with the Spearman when he's going to kill things outright, this effect will never actually hit him because the shadow effect doesn't get resolved when the attacking enemy dies before resolving the attack. So in any case, something to bear in mind, and that is a when revealed effect that is going to, at this point, nuke one of our allies since they all have so few hit points. So that shadow goes away, that shadow goes away. We have a chieftain staring us down. Goblin Tunnels. Was this a shadow card that's just hanging out here? I think this was just a shadow card. In any case, I'm sending that to the discard. Okay, so we got 3 guys in the staging area, which is a little concerning. We have a large chieftain ready to bring the smack down, but at least next round he's not going to be an 8, so we could even potentially block him with Dain, but we are still, we're not out of danger just yet, so I don't know why I have a new card in my hand. Huh, strange. I don't remember hitting Control D, but I'm gonna actually put this back on top of my deck because I don't know how I drew that extra card, but I'm going to do a new round, and we're drawing that parting gifts in any case. We're at 33 threats, so the cave troll's coming down. Gandalf is going to leave play. In retrospect, it might have been wiser to lower our threat, but it's hard to know. Yeah, I wasn't exactly counting on the chieftain showing up, but I think we can survive this nonetheless. Parting Gifts is kind of a dead card in our hand at this point, so if we have to discard it to protect her, that's fine. Let's go ahead and use Steward to get 2 more resources. We're really hoping at this point for Gleowine to show up, and I'm actually regretting not putting Lorien's Wealth in this deck, because card draw right now would be pretty nice with this many resources floating around. Especially since the Narvi's Belt means we can pay for anything in any sphere, really. Speaking of which, with no expensive leadership stuff in sight, I'm going to move one over to Bifur, so we have those utility resources ready to go. We certainly look like we could be using some more tactics cards this turn. And yeah, we got a lot of enemies in play, so we'll see how this plays out. Gonna quest for our usual 8 and hope to get a location, I guess, because really there's enough enemies right now to deal with, so I need one more decent ally, like an Orc Slayer would be really nice right about now, but let me think about this. If Bifur, he's 2 attack. Yeah. 2, 4, 5. And we've got 9 in the staging area. I'm sorry, 8 in the staging area, so man, it's looking kind of bleak on the questing here. I think I kind of have to send Bifur just so I don't raise my threat. So we're going to send our 8 and really hope for not an enemy, because this is getting kind of overwhelming here in the staging area. Aha! Well, we are losing an ally. Deal X damage to one ally he controls. X is the number of allies he controls. Well, we have 3 allies in play, and they all have 1 or 2 hit points, so this is a death sentence. Given that we have yet to have any damage on our heroes, the obvious choice here is going to be Daughter of the Nimrodel. As much as her healing is nice, it's not essential right now, so we will go ahead and get rid of her. We lose 1 to the quest. Fortunately, no threat was added, so we're still looking at 8. We sent 7. Let's see, 2, 3, 7, and then I'm going to discard Parting Gifts to Protector of Lorien, since Dain is committed to the quest, and we will break even. And I'm very happy to not see an enemy, because we're already kind of dealing with enough of that at this point. This guy is not damaged though, so not sure exactly what I want to do. I think we're going to have to use Quick Strike and Feint this round, which is unfortunate because it's going to leave us pretty vulnerable for next round. Anyway, 33 threat. Oh, that's the problem. The cave troll's coming down. Yeah, this just got really kind of hairy. And we don't have healing to take an undefended attack. Not that we're going to want to at 4, but... Oh man, we're going to have to get really lucky here, because... Whew boy. Okay. Let's steal some shadow cards. This is going to be a make or break round for us here. My confidence from earlier is lessened. I think I made a wrong choice with how I used Gandalf. I guess threat reduction was the way to go, so I could build up a little bit more. In any case, we can get rid of the cave troll with the combo that I mentioned earlier, and that is what we're going to have to do. So I'm going to give Bifur the tactics icon. Might as well spend the resources off of Thalin first, so let's go ahead and quick strike with the veteran Axehand. There's a good chance we're going to end up losing a hero here, but we got to do what we can. So quick striking with the veteran Axehand means we do 1 direct damage. Let's see, veteran is a 3, is a 4. Yeah, so he's still not enough to actually do real damage, but the direct damage does go through thanks to the response effect on the axe. So after he attacks, deal 1 damage, so we deal 1 damage. The cave troll is now 1 away, so we will declare the Spearman as a defender, and he will die immediately and get added to the victory display. So at least we dealt with that. Unfortunately, we have what will essentially be 2 very large enemies here. Let me see. Yeah, we need to save ourselves. So Feint is going to go on the 5 strength chieftain of the pit, and then Dain Ironfoot is going to block the 2 strength spearman. So since I'm not taking this undefended, I actually am going to survive this round. Unfortunately, we're looking kind of shabby for next round on how we're going to actually start putting damage on this chieftain. I think we might end up not questing a whole lot next round and just having to soak whatever threat raise we get. So I'm blocking the Spearman, so his shadow effect is nothing. Good to see an enemy go away. Hopefully we don't get another one next turn. No damage to Dain. I do not have any counterattacks as all my guys are exhausted. And I'm really running out of options here for how to deal with all these attackers. So, oh look, would have added more goblins to the staging area and plundered armory, which I would have loved to see be the revealed card this round, but in any case, we have 2 enemies, 1 enemy in the staging area that's not coming down anytime soon. He, now that I think about it, is not an enemy that we would ever really want to kill because we do not want that effect back in the encounter deck. So yeah, we will leave him out there as long as we possibly can. Not really concerned with clearing this first stage, we really just are more concerned with our own survival, so let's see what we draw. Another Protector of Lorien. Not a very useful card right now. We are in desperate need of attackers and defenders for that matter, so let's go ahead and just commit Dain Ironfoot for 2 this round. Oh man. I really want to send Thalin because his ability is so key, especially with the Gondorian Spearman, but honestly, I need bodies at this point, so we just have to hope for a location, hope we get lucky. So we're sending 2 to the quest. We can make it 3 with the Protector, which we will do if need be. The card we get is... Aha! Well, he's staying in the staging area, but... Let's see, 5... Oh, wow. We're going to discard a card, so we're sending 3 to the quest. So we're going to go up by 2 and narrowly avoid having the Goblin Scout come down. This is really touch and go here. Fortunately, he doesn't attack for much, so yeah. As much as I want to pull him out to get that threat out of the staging area, I just really, I can't spare the body. So we're going to be at 36 because we failed by 2. Things are really not looking up for our party right now to escape the 7th level. Hopefully we can draw an ally next turn. That would be really helpful. We don't have a feint, so we're going to deal with both of these guys. Let's see here. Decisions. Okay, so first of all, let's have Bifur block. Oh, we got to deal shadow cards here. So shadow cards. Bifur is going to block the Goblin Spearman. Really, I can't risk taking him undefended because 4 damage is too close to be risking. Too close to losing a hero. So Bifur is going to block the Spearman. And nothing, so that's good to see. Oh, and that would have been a really bad card to see revealed, so it's good to see that goes to shadow harmlessly. 5 attack. Oh boy. This is where we really wish we had Daughter of the Nimrodel, but nothing in hand to discard a protector, so Dain's just going to have to take this. And nothing. So we're going to take 2 damage on Dain, and really we're kind of in some trouble here. Let's see. So Dain is exhausted, so we don't have his attack bonus. Let's see how much damage we can put. 2, 5, 6, 7. So if everybody swings, yeah, that's how we're going to do it. Let's see. 2, 3 with the axe, 4 essentially because of the direct damage. And 5, 6, and we need a total of 6. So the veteran Axehand and Thalin are going to kill the chieftain of the pit, and suddenly our plight looks a little bit less bleak. We have an undamaged spearman, which our spearman cannot damage because he doesn't have enough attack, but at the very least we haven't lost any allies and we got rid of the biggest threat. So far we've killed the troll and the chieftain, and we just have a bunch of these goblins hanging around ready to swarm us, but that seems kind of manageable. So far so good. Let's go ahead and go to the next round and hope for an ally. Aha! That is an excellent card to draw in this situation. Now we're going to have multiple uses with our heroes and definitely frees Thalin up to be questing, which is what he should be doing to begin with. Yeah, all these goblins have 2 hit points, so really Thalin needs to be going every time. But in any case, you can see why I held him back is we needed his attack to actually finish off that chieftain and still have all our guys blocked to avoid the undefended. So 2 damage on Dain that I would love to get healed at some point. We have other copies of Daughter of the Nimrodel, so hopefully we'll get to those. Going to go ahead and move one of these resources over to Bifur and spend it, and we now have a record keeper, which is not going to be going to the quest right now because we just need the action advantage and we can use him for questing later. We know that the scout is coming down because we're at 37. Fortunately, he only attacks for 1, so we're not too worried about that. We have some action advantage with the record keeper, so hopefully we can make some progress, or at the very least not be raising our threat anymore. Let's go for 7. And we don't have any cards to be able to discard, so we are, let's see. Man, this is rough. And none of these guys are damaged, so I think we're going to end up taking a Goblin Scout undefended and just hoping for the best, because there's just too much stuff in play here. Don't really want to send the record keeper. Could send a veteran Axehand for 1. Man, this is a tough decision here. 7 against 5. We just have to hope to get lucky here. We did not. Okay, so we go up by 1 for losing by 1. We also go up by 2 more, thanks to the Doom 2. And this is where not using Gandalf for threat reduction really is looking like the wrong decision in retrospect. But yeah, it's hard to know at the time what the right way to take it is. Okay, we're definitely going to travel to this upper hall. The Goblin Scout is coming down. We're not at 45, so we're not going to optionally engage him just yet. As much as I keep mentioning this, as much as getting the threat out of the staging area would be nice, I want to be able to actually get to a point where I don't have any engaged enemies is the ideal, and then I really kind of have leverage on the deck. Although at 40 threat, at this point I'm basically hoping to draw Gandalf, or there's a good chance I'm not going to make it out of this thing alive, but we will see. I always think the tense quests are more fun anyway, so it's kind of fun that this is playing out. It's been a while since I've had a Khazad-dûm quest that was nail-biting, but Anyway, the scout comes down. He's going to get the first shadow card. Let's see how we want to do this. We actually could defend them both. Yeah, I guess we will avoid being risky here. Let's go ahead and have Dain defend against the Spearman first. Nothing. And then I'm going to spend one resource from Bifur's pool and exhaust the Record Keeper to ready Dain. And I'm going to defend also against the Goblin Scout. And nothing. Oh, great to see an archer go, although really that would have been great to see it revealed because it just dies immediately. In any case, no damage to either of my guys, and we can actually set ourselves up to really clear things out next turn because the Axehand on his own can kill a Spearman because he's a 3 attack and essentially a 4 with the direct damage, so that'll kill the Spearman. And then the Scout, I can do 1 damage to it with a Spearman since it has no defense, and then next turn I'll be able to kill it with that same Spearman. So hopefully, knock on wood, we can make it out of this alive, although we are at 41 threat and we drew the perfect card. Look at that. Okay. So let's see here. It is high time we get to the next level and get out of here. Let me see. Add 2 from the Steward. I think I've been remembering to use it every turn. In any case, we have a ton of resources. I will spend 1 from Thalin, and it's weird that we haven't seen any of our leadership allies this whole game. It's kind of odd. Especially the Orc Slayer would have been really helpful, but 1 from Thalin and 4 from Dain, and we will bring a Gandalf into play. And let's lower our threat to 36. Could hold him back for combat, but at this point we really just need to blow through this stage and try and clear that second and final stage here. So he's going to the quest. Let's see here. I don't think I need to send the Axehand, so we're just going to see if we can get through with what we've got. Gandalf's adding 4 to our questing, so this should, and we're only looking at 2 in the staging, so we should be okay to, at the very least, clear that active and make some progress, but we'll see. I don't feel like the veteran Axehand at 1 willpower is really making enough of a difference, and he's one of our best attackers right now, so although, yeah, we do have the reading with the Record Keeper. Yeah, let's send it. So, let's see. We're looking at 2, 5, 7, 11, 12. That's pretty good. Let's see what happens. Hopefully we get something that dies immediately. That would be awesome. Oh boy, let's see. So, each player must deal X damage to 1 ally he controls. X is the number of allies he controls. That is unfortunate. We have exactly 4 allies, and Gandalf has exactly 4 hit points. Otherwise, we could have made that whiff entirely. As much as I would like to say that the Record Keeper just eats it here, I think actually Gandalf's going to take this one because, granted, we will lose 4 quest points, 4 willpower towards the quest, but the reality is he is leaving play anyway. And I really don't want to lose any of my other 3 allies. So in this case, that's going to do 4 damage to Gandalf. And he is dead. And we're down to 8 on the quest. And that's it for the reveal, though. So 8 against 2 is 6. So 4 to clear the active and 2 more. We did not clear the quest. We would have been 1 short even if Gandalf hadn't left. It's unfortunate to lose him, but on the upside, we're actually going to get ahead of this swarm. So we will not optional. I really don't want to kill the Hornblower. His 2 threat in the staging area is kind of annoying, but I'd rather just leave him there for now. So, and with our threat at 36, it looks like we're probably just going to leave him there for the duration. In any case, the Goblin Scout has 1 damage on it. We deal it a shadow card, and the Spearman is going to kill it immediately. So there's some hope. That light at the end of the tunnel might just be salvation. So we have no enemies engaged, finally, and only 1 enemy in the staging area. And we move to the next round at 37 threat. So we have, this is exactly why we run Protector of Lorien in this deck. We have another duplicate unique that is not going to be too useful, so we will hold it back and see if we need it for Protector. Steward is giving us an absolute mountain of resources at this point. I could have moved a resource over to Bifur, but it doesn't even really matter. I think I've got enough resources everywhere that it's not gonna make a difference. I just need to get some card draw. I really should have put 2 copies of Lorien's Wealth in this deck. That is very clear at this point. It's just kind of a general deck building rule. Whenever you have a deck with resource acceleration, you want to pair it with card draw, or you end up in this situation where I have, a ridiculous number of resources and no cards to play. So Protector is a small consolation, though, because we can at least make some use of these cards. But in any case, let's see if we can push through this round. We have no active. We have 5 to go. I am going to take a risk. I'm at 37 threat, though, so this is... See, as much as I want to send the Record Keeper, I really feel like I need insurance. So I could have been playing this more risky, but I just don't really like playing this quest risky because undefended attacks are something that we need to avoid at all costs. So in any case, we are going to send 7, 8 to the quest. I don't know why that's showing up as negative. There we go. 8 willpower against 2. Let's see what we get. Another, let's see, Goblin Tunnels. While they're in the staging area after Goblin is revealed from the counter deck, remove progress from the current quest card. Oh boy. Okay. Man, 7 quest points. Okay, this is tough. But we do not want to leave those in the staging because that forced effect is really obnoxious. So it's gonna slow us down a little bit. And the thing is, we've got combat under control. So going against 4 with 8, we make 4 progress. We are 1 away. Let's go ahead and pass. I will discard Narvi's Belt to Dain, and we will have exactly the 5 we need. So 1, 2, oops. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're at 15. We move on to the second and final stage. It's about time. You have discovered the chamber. Before you lies the resting place of Balin, last Lord of Moria. The final portion of the book tells the grim tale. Balin was slain in the Nimrodel, and the dwarves were then trapped in the mines. It seems as if there are no survivors. You stand silently by his tomb, but cannot tarry. Orc war cries and horns sound close. You leave the cumbersome book as a testament to the dwarves' valor and prepare to fight your way out, lest Balin's fate become your own. Wait, so now we're fighting? Because I thought all this stuff we were doing up until now was a pretty considerable battle, but I guess we'll see. Let's flip this over and see what we have on the B side of the quest. When revealed, remove Book of Khazad-dûm from the game. So sorry, Dain, no more questing for you. We'll put that over here, out of play. At the end of the staging step, reveal the top X cards in the encounter deck, adding all enemies to the staging area. Discard the other revealed cards without resolving them. X is the number of players. So at the end of staging, we're going to reveal 1 extra card and hope it's not an enemy, because if it's an enemy, it gets added. Otherwise, it just goes to the discard. So hopefully we get a bunch of treacheries and locations as that second card. Other than that, we just need to get 17 progress and we can win the game. We lose the built-in action advantage of the Book of Khazad-dûm. Fortunately, it's not revealing any additional cards. You can see how these older quests are much, much less sinister. All the new quests at this point would have us, like, add an extra enemy to the staging area or reveal an additional encounter card or something, mess with us in some way. But this one is just straight up 17 quest points, and if we beat it, we win. So we can hopefully try and rush through. As much as it sucks putting 7 quest points as the active, I really don't want to leave this around to just keep whittling away at our progress. So I am going to travel to the Goblin Tunnels. That means that its passive effect is no longer valid because it's not in the staging area. And we will go ahead and engage the Hornblower. I'm not going to be killing him. I'm just going to be defending him with Dain so that I'm pulling that 2 threat out. And the idea here is that we can just start to kind of, well, let's see. What is the encounter deck at? We've got 8 cards left in the encounter deck. So, I wonder. I could actually kill him. The idea is if I kill him, I don't want him shuffled back in. So, and I know I'm revealing 2 cards at minimum a turn, more with Shadow. So, yeah, I think I might kill him and take the risk and hope that he doesn't shuffle back in. Because he's got a terrible, terrible effect if he doesn't go as a Shadow. But I don't want to keep my heroes tied up defending him, and I don't really want to take him undefended without healing in play. So I think that's what's going to end up happening. In any case, he gets a Shadow card. I will declare Dain as the defender. And let's see what we get. Nothing, so no damage. And then I will spend 1 from Bifur and exhaust the Record Keeper to, let's see, ready a dwarf character. Yeah, so I can ready the Axehand, and the Axehand's 3/4 is enough to, I say 4 because it's essentially with the direct damage, is enough to kill the Hornblower. Yep, so swing and we kill this guy, and we just hope that we can get through this quest with 7 cards now left in the encounter deck before he shuffles back in, because I really do not want to see him again. And going to the Goblin Tunnels is going to make that a little bit harder. I guess we could have kept him, and they'd only be removing 1 each time we see a Goblin. The problem is there's a good chance we can be seeing 2 Goblins a turn, and at that point it really yeah, the math just doesn't work out there, so we're just going to hopefully try and power through it. Next turn, we are at 38 threat. Aha! The best card we could see in this situation, other than probably Gandalf. Let's add our 2 resources with Steward. Going to move 1 from Thalin over to Bifur. Going to spend 2 from Bifur for Gleowine. We're going to use him immediately. Need some card draw here. Aha! This is excellent. Excellent, excellent. The more bodies, the better. We can expect a horde of goblins coming our way with the forced effect on this stage. So we've got some more help here. In that case, I am going to start playing a little bit more risky since we're at 38 threat and we're trying to just plow through here. So let's see. 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's what we're sending. And Gleowine hopefully is going to get us into some more dwarf allies so we can get that army that never seemed to show up. Hopefully get that out. So we got 8 going against nothing. And we get a swordsman that takes a damage and is ready to be spearman bait. And at the end of staging, which is right now, we're going to reveal another card and hope that it's a location or treachery. Ah, it is not. Fortunately, we are still in the quest phase. It's just the end of staging, which means that Thalin is still committed, which means that this guy takes damage, so he is also going to be spearman bait. So we are looking at 2 threat in the staging versus our 8 is 6, which does not quite clear the active, which is unfortunate. If I had a card to discard Protector, irrelevant, because Dain is not questing. In any case, both of these guys are coming down, and they're both going to be dead. So not too bad, all things considered, although that active was a bit annoying. You could see, though, where if we would have left it, in this case it would have been fine. It would have it would have removed progress from the stage that isn't actually there, but this is kind of proof of why I wanted to travel there, is that these guys, there's so many enemies coming out that leaving that guy in the staging is really a dangerous proposition, so I'd rather just get rid of it. In any case, these guys are here. I'm going to declare two spearmen as defenders, and they die. The 2 hit points on these enemies really makes this strategy effective. Oh, look, he would have gotten added to the staging, and the watch flies that we haven't seen, fortunately, all game, because we haven't seen any Miner of the Iron Hills. So it's good that we have not had that card screwing with us the whole game. Okay, shadow cards are gone, enemies are dead. Next round, we're at 39 threat. That's a good card to see. That lets us be a little bit more aggressive. Let's go ahead and draw another card with Gleowine. Another useful combat card. I'm going to get 2 resources. Steward is kind of ridiculous at this point. Let's go ahead and move 1 over to Bifur, and yeah. Let's see what we want to do here. Let's quest 6. Yeah, the spearmen have no willpower anyway, so we're just going to be really aggressive and see if we can make some progress here. So 5, 7, 8, 10. Okay. Am I counting that right? 3, 5. Oh, no, I didn't count that right at all. 3, 5, 6, 8. Yeah, I was wondering why it was somehow more this time. Okay, so we're sending 8. Haha! More goblins. This scenario really does not let up. Okay, let's hope this guy is not a goblin for the after staging. It is not. Love to see Watchful Eyes with. Okay. And again, that did not get resolved because the forced effect on this stage says discard the other revealed cards without resolving them. So we only add enemies for this forced effect, and that was not an enemy. So we have a swordsman with 1 threat. We have 8 willpower. That is 7. 1 goes here. Oops. And clears it. And 6 are going to go on the quest stage. So we're a third of the way there. We will pull this guy down. He will get a shadow card. And a spearman will make quick work of him. Oh, look. Love to see the cave troll go as a shadow card. Would not really want to be dealing with him right now. Okay, next round. Aha! Dwarf allies. What a concept. The deck at 40 threat finally decided to draw some dwarf allies. That's good. Let's add our resources, draw a card with Gleowine. Might as well stick a warning on Dain since he is our dedicated defender. We can always move it around in a pinch, and we know that Dain certainly has the resources to afford that. I could have held on to it to pitch to Protector. Honestly, if it really comes to it, I can pitch Feint or Quick Strike to Protector because we don't seem to be using them right now. The bigger enemies, fortunately, have not come our way. In any case, we are going to spend 2 from Bifur and get another very useful dwarf out. We do have a Narvi's Belt in our discard, so he will return that to our hand. I don't know that there's anything else. I'll look at all the cards in my discard. Protector is definitely more useful than the... Oh, no, I'm sorry, it's top card, isn't it? Yeah, topmost. Okay, so Protector's still in our discard. Let's go ahead and fix that. It's down there a ways. Okay, so topmost is going to be Narvi's Belt, which is fine. That is Protector of Lorien fodder if we need it. So we now have quite a bit of defense on Dain if need be, which is nice. We also have some tactics, tricks in our hands, and we have another ally. So things are looking up. Let's see if we can quest through this. Let's send our team, only this time it actually will be 10 willpower, thanks to Dain's bonus. I have to say I'm really a fan of the Hammersmith. His ability is useful. As you see in this case, it even gives us a card that we can, at the very least, pitch to Protector of Lorien, and his stats are just fantastic, so he's good at everything, essentially. So we're sending 10 against nothing in the staging, no active. Let's see if we can make some progress. Oh, Watchful Eyes. Okay. So we're going to have to get clever with this. If attached hero is exhausted at the end of the combat phase, reveal 1 card from the encounter deck and add to the staging area. We're going to have to go Dain here just because he's the one least likely to be exhausted. I really hope we can get a Miner of the Iron Hills and just get rid of this, but we can potentially hold the Record Keeper back and start readying him to avoid that extra card. That might honestly be worth it. The 2 willpower is great, but not revealing another card I think is going to be the better call in this case, just to avoid getting overrun. We are at 40 threat, so pretty much everything that comes out is coming our way. Speaking of which, we still have to do the forced effect. Great to see that whiff, although it would not have done anything other than killing an attachment, for which we have a duplicate. But in any case, that whiffs, so our 10 willpower against nothing is going to put us at 16. Makes me wish that I'd sent Dain, although we would have lost the willpower bonus, so it doesn't really matter. I guess it makes me wish the Protector was somewhere else. But yeah, we cannot discard a card to get us that last that we need, so we're going to be at 16. I keep hitting the wrong hotkey. The good thing is, though, we are 1 away with nothing in the staging area, no active location, and there's pretty much no card that could kill us next round, so let's see how this plays out. We have a sneak attack. We don't have any allies in our hand, so that's not really the most useful card. We are at 41 threat. We have an absolute ton of resources. We do get to draw another card with Gleowine. Might as well do that. Yeah, another duplicate Steward. Not very useful. We are not going to quest with Dain because that really is counterproductive given that we lose the bonus. So we're just going to go ahead and let's hold him back just in the off chance that we end up needing that. I don't really think that there's going to be too much trouble here because we're looking at 7, 8, 10. Yeah, we're sending 10 again without sending the record keeper. And we got one card, in effect 2 cards coming, but I feel pretty good about this. So 10 willpower. First card, Doomed 2. That's the one thing that we are a little bit worried about, but we've got 3 threat in the staging area. We only need to make 1 progress. We have 1 more card coming. We've got 10 willpower. Let's see what that card is. Oh boy. Cave Troll. So 7. So our 10 willpower against the 7 is going to make 3 progress. Oh, he does take a damage from Thalin, by the way, but I don't think it's going to matter. So 7, we make 3 progress. Puts us at 19, and we win the quest. So there you have it. Beorn's Path, Part 15, the 7th level. This, as I mentioned earlier, this deck used 2 copies of the core set. It still was a tough fought battle. It was a little bit scary there in the middle with all those enemies, but we fortunately finally drew into some allies and were able to really get take advantage of Thalin's ability with these spearmen mowing through, oh, I don't know, a good majority of the enemies, I would say. If we look at, oh, we just reshuffled. Okay, well, I would say there's probably a dozen goblins we went through with the Thalin Gondorian spearman combo. So it's pretty solid for this quest. You can imagine if we didn't have that direct damage and we were dealing with all those shadow effects every time, it's a much different quest. But that is not an approach I'm willing to go with core set decks. I'm all for trying to stay thematic and have it, keeping the quest interesting. But I will use the strategies like this when they're available. And this one is a little bit too good to pass up when there's so many 2 hit point enemies. In any case, when I post this video, I will post the deck list. I will also post suggestions for people that only have 1 core set. This, again, only includes cards from the core set, Shadows of Mirkwood Cycle, and the Khazad-dûm Deluxe expansion. So it is a true progression deck. It just happens to have 2 copies of the core set. Again, not going to be too difficult to see that we can do some substitutions there. For certain, Lorien's Wealth is going to be a substitution for some of the 3-0s. Like we could definitely do with 1 less Steward and extra copies of some card draw. And I want to say there's going to be like 1 less Feint, 1 less Quick Strike. Again, I don't think it makes too huge of a difference on how the deck plays. The card draw, we lose a copy of Gleowine, but we're going to gain 2 copies of Lorien's Wealth. So it kind of comes out the same when you have a hero like Bifur that's going to help you with the resource smoothing. In any case, I hope you enjoyed this, the first video version of Beorn's Path, and I'm sorry for those readers that have waited so long for me to continue this. It's really time-consuming to write up play reports, so I think in the future it's just going to be videos, and hopefully this turned out okay, and any technical difficulties are entirely my fault. My giant paws make it very difficult to work with video and audio recording software, but I hope everyone enjoyed it, and I look forward to doing more of these in the future. Have a good one, everybody.